Hi, welcome back to the Blueprint on How to Turn Goals into Achievement podcast for students. I am your coach and speaker and host, Andres Ruiz. And on today's show, we have a very special guest with a great personality. I love her energy. Her name is Dr. Shatoya Black, and she is the program director of the TRIO Students Support Service Program at ISU. And she has also worked in TRIO Student Support Service as an academic advisor and coach for first generation students from low socioeconomic backgrounds. And so thank you for being on the show, Dr. Shatoya Black. How are you feeling today?
Thanks for having me. I feel great.
Awesome.
I feel great. If I had to give it a word, I'll say I feel great, and for multiple reasons. But I'll say I feel great.
Awesome.
Yes.
Good. Well, thank you for being on the show. I really appreciate it. And I've seen a lot of the work that you do, and I really love what you do for our youth. I'm a big fan of TRIO. TRIO has been such an amazing experience for myself, just seeing what the work that you do. And so thank you for being on. And when we get started on the show, I always like to have the guests brag a little bit about themselves, because I think it's important that we brag about ourselves. So I want to ask you, what would you say is your superpower?
My superpower is strategic innovation, and so that's the one thing that is my superpower. And what strategic innovation looks like is basically the creation of growth strategies, new products and categories and services, of business models, and then that change the game, right? I'm a game changer. And then it generates this significance, new value for consumers or for companies or for organizations or for customers or for people or for individuals or for professionals. And so it allows me to take that superpower and be innovative in how I execute it, and providing that significance for it. It also allows me to bring together different perspectives, allows me to gather different perspectives and create and utilize my strategic innovation to create something that's going to be a great output for whoever I am assisting, whether it be the person, the business, the company, the organization, the product, or whatever that end result is that we're looking to get collectively. And as well as, it provides this consistent set of practices that inspire like this imagination team that looks beyond just the obvious. And so when you talk about my superpower, you can't have a superpower without it doing a specific thing. And the thing that it specifically does is, if I had to give a visual, I will give a visual of when you're looking out and your lights has this beam. And so when you're dealing with people or dealing with situations, you're able to see beyond the obvious. You're able to not only listen to understand, you're able to also hear what people don't say. See beyond what people say. And see the bigger picture past what's available at that moment. So that will be my practical, like, this is my superpower and this is how I do it. And then I just stand still. So I'm listening to you, and as I'm listening to you, I'm formulating a picture in my mind. If I had to give you a show of what it looks like for me when I operate in my superpower, I would say Good Doctor. If you never seen that show, it's a great show, but it's wrapped around a person who has autism, like they aren't like artistic, but he's very unique in his approaches of solving problems that had not been seen before, and it's always innovative and different. And what happens is when something is happening and it's different, he stops and pauses, and then everything comes up and flashes.
Love it.
It's like from the books, experiences, it all flashes before him, and then it formulates this specific thing that allows me to then execute this strategic innovation in that subset. So it makes me excited to say, to say it, but yes, that would be my superpower.
I love it. Yeah. And that's a great superpower to have, because I think we all need somebody that can see beyond what we can see for ourselves. And then also in that present moment, being able to be, and that's another thing, like being able to be in the present moment and formulate those ideas, so I really definitely agree 100% that that is a superpower, and that is something that is a game changer for not only just ourselves, but also the youth that you're serving. So thank you for sharing that. That was really amazing.
Thank you.
So tell us a little bit, like, kind of give us an overview of the work you do as the in the TRIO program, like in your position, like what kind of work do you do? Give us a little overview about that.
So if I can, first of all, I'm a TRIO alumni, and my journey to education started through homelessness.
Oh, wow.
I wasn't originally planning to do education. My goal was, I was really great in the community, and they will always give me what people would consider behavior teams, or people that they feel like, okay, I couldn't do these specific things with, or they're not doing these particular practices. So my desire before college was even a thing, growing up in the South Side of Chicago, was to get a certificate, go in and do an entry-level job, work my way up, right? And revamp DCFS system to be able to provide some services there while the actual student is actually waiting to be placed. So let me just say that part. So education was not my thing. I didn't wake up and know that this is something that I needed to do, wanted to do. I didn't know that it was for me. I always felt like an imposter, or I always felt like I was missing something, or I always felt like I needed more, like I wasn't enough, or it wasn't enough, or what I was doing not enough. I was also a non-traditional student, so with a daughter. So I had a daughter as a single mom as well. So I like to give that background and that caveat, that little piece, because I want the people who listen to me to be able to understand that I didn't just arrive here because I had this dream and my goals lined up with that. That being said, I was actually a community college. I went to community college, got my associates. Now, I went to Northern, which is my alma mater, and I started school there for my bachelor's after I graduated with my associates. And I became a part of the TRIO program there. So that's where my journey came from, with my understanding of what TRIO was. Now, in TRIO, this little piece is that I needed something more. I was a non-traditional student. I wanted to be able to grow professional. I knew it was something bigger than this and didn't really have the language. So the work that I do in TRIO really, and the passion for it, comes from my experiences and the things that I was able to get in. So right now, what I do is, now I was a academic advising coach at Rock Valley College. And then I transitioned to be a retention and completion specialist. And then I interim as the upper bound director there. I transitioned here to be their program director slash assistant director in University College. And so what I do here is I help first generation students beyond access to not only have access to college, but to be able to have opportunity and to be able to connect their passion to their major, to develop a career path. That's my whole synopsis. I bridge the opportunity gap for first generation students from low socioeconomic backgrounds, those with identified disabilities as well. And so here our program, so the scope of TRIO is the same, right? So the framework, the foundation, but the management of how it's executed that's where the autonomy comes in. So in our specific space, I provide academic advising, coaching, financial literacy, tutoring. We also provide grant and aid, which is scholarship assistance for the students, graduate school readiness and preparation, as well as examination to determine if that's something you want to do. We also focus on identity development. And so it's this concept of identity development and identity awareness. We also do create what I call out-of-box experiences for our students. And so that's the scope of what we do. Our program here serves 232 students in the grant, but I've had the unique opportunity since I've been here in 2019 to create campus-wide initiatives and programs for other first-generation students that's around campus.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And I love everything that you're doing for these youth. And thank you for sharing your story. I just want to acknowledge you for sharing that. And that is so powerful because I guarantee you that a lot of these kids, they, the audience will connect with some of your story. And for you to be so authentic and so real is very powerful. And I just want to say I appreciate that about you. And I love how you're talking about to these kids about identity development and awareness. Man, that right there, because the awareness is where it all starts. Once we have the awareness, that's when the development can start to be created. So I love what you do, and thank you for sharing your story. That is really cool. Like I appreciate that about you. So just kind of like, for these students who are interested in maybe having a career in higher ed or just going to college, what would you say it takes to be successful at what you do?
For me, what it takes to be successful is really understanding that you determine what success looks like for you.
Mhm. I like that.
Right? I think a lot of times we measure our success of what we've accomplished based off what somebody else accomplished versus really being able to understand and identify that the success is determined by you. For example, I come from a low social economic background. We grew up in poverty, right? I'm a single mom. And there's generational curses and things that I wanted to be able to break and to be able to learn and different things like that. So in having that particular piece and other pieces that happen, you have to understand that me going to, when I started my journey in college, it was because I became homeless. I had no place to call home. And so DeKalb provided me a place to stay. So that's how I ended up in DeKalb, Illinois. So when you think about these caveats, then wouldn't success look like being able to secure a home and never returning homeless again and being able to provide for yourself and your child? Wouldn't success look like being able to complete your associate's degree with a child and not having the necessary resources and access or even understanding for the people that's trying to help me? Wouldn't success look like, okay, I've graduated and completed that degree? When success looks like, okay, today I was able to get up out of the bed and not be stressed or depressed.
Mm.
When success looks like, okay, today, this morning, I realized that I have some great qualities and then I have some qualities that serve as self-sabotages for me, and I was been able to overcome that. When success looked like overcoming, when success looked like being resilient in places of adversity. So when we talk about identifying and celebrating success, we have to be able to take time to be able to identify the things that we are overcoming, and whether small, big, or large.
Mm-hmm.
And not on a scale that I don't have this house with this picket fence
Mm.
and I'm not successful. Or I don't look like them, so I'm not successful. I don't dress like them, so I'm not successful. They can go buy these particular specific things and I have to struggle for them. I'm not successful. You know what I mean? So it is because what happens is it affects your perspective and your ability to even grow.
Mm-hmm.
And to even reach a different level of optimal success, right? So as you start identifying those, what I call low-level successes that's not predicated on, now they became a doctor. Yeah, they became a doctor, but they spent these many years in school.
Mm-hmm.
So when I talk about success, it's really understanding that and determining what success looked like for you. Also, not setting unrealistic goals, but creating stepping stones that serve as what I would consider a navigational system to completion or to execution or to excelling. Because when you think of the word excelling, people think perfection. But when you think of excelling, you think of excel. Because when you do all things in excellence unto your level of success, you always excel.
Mm-hmm.
Because the word excel is in excellence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
So when you give your level of excellence, then you always giving your 110%, even if that's just showing up, whether you're not feeling well or not.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not talking about sick feeling well. I'm talking about, well, I don't feel like I can do it. I don't feel like this is going to be okay. I don't feel like this is going to happen. So I'm just going to stay here. Yeah. Well, you didn't show up. And the first person you show up for is you first.
Mm-hmm.
That's why success is how you measure it. Mm-hmm. Because you have to have this process of where you're developing this internal success so that you can live from the inside out. and not let the outside affect within. What we do is we live from the outside in, and everything external affects your internal. So you're always in this turmoil about who and what you are and your abilities and what you can do. There's also this willingness to be able to shift your mindset and embrace your journey. Because we take on this mindset where we're shifting from where we are setting a fixed mindset that even when you don't know what success look like, and somebody come along and they see you further than where you see yourself, you so fixed that you don't even want to take on it there because the fear of really becoming. So you operate in a self-sabotage. Yeah. Right? Versus being able to be open, even if your mind fixed, for them to shift your mindset in order so that you can now be able to embrace and get and engage and receive that next level. And so now this become a reachable thing for you. So when it came to success, I kept a journal of things that I've overcome. I kept what am I looking to do? What do you see? What is happening? That way you were able to track your success. You know how many people go through life and they can't even remember all the things they've done? Because it's always, and then what's next? As a first generation student, and which I was, and now a first generation professional, they push you to be able to be like, okay, I graduated, what's next? I got that job I wanted, what's next? It's always, and now what? And now what? And now what? So you're in this perpetuated cycle of not enough.
Wow. Yeah.
Due to your fixed mindset. Because sometimes you don't see your next. Sometimes somebody else see it before you see it. And your yieldedness to receive that
was good.
Is what helps you grow. So I'm president-elect of Illinois Trio. I never woke up and was like, I'm going to be president-elect of Illinois Trio. So you go from being a student to being an advisor, to being a program director, to being the president-elect over the state with 157 programs. Somebody said, it's your turn. I see this in you. I'm going to nominate you. And I sat there, even in my mind, I was like, even if I feel in my mind like, ooh-wee, I don't think so. Because the first thing we be like, no, you reject it immediately.
Wow, yeah.
I learned to just, I'm sitting with it now. It's brushing up against everything in me, but I'm like, oh, really? They nominated me. And then at that moment, I had to yield to the nomination. And that's why I do this thing called what we call like I have this concept of a legacy framework, which is a multi-dimensional approach. And sometimes it's not about someone needing leadership or education or growth or advocacy or community. It's about you yielding. You won't yield to any of them. You won't yield to this concept, this idea that goes beyond what you feel like you deserve.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's what I would say success. Success starts with a mindset. Because I could give you success, but if you don't have the mindset, then you're going to be in places that your character won't keep you. You're going to sabotage, you're going to fumble the play, as they call it. You're going to fumble the play.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah, that was good, man. That was a lot of gold nuggets right there. I'm going to have to replay that again and go back to it, take some notes, man, for real. Like that was so good. Whew, that was fire right there, and so inspirational.
Thank you.
That was so good.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, that was really good. You know, and I like talking about how you said that sometimes other people have to see that in you, that greatness, which leads me to my next question is like, how did you find help and mentorship for what you do? And like, how did these mentors help you on your journey?
It goes back to the conversation that I had about when I was in school and I'm like, I need something else. So when I was in school, I was a student, a non-traditional student. I actually became a part of the association as a student. And I paid my own membership to be there.
Okay.
Because I needed something. I needed to be around something. I didn't have the language to know what it was. I just knew that it was something. And I knew that once I was around it, I was going to be like, okay, all right, right? So I became a part of the association. And so what my thoughts are is this. Your mentor may not be long-term. So we talk about this concept of mentorship versus having somebody that's what I call that show up through your critical transition points. Because they may not always stay with you. They may be there in that season with you for you to be able to get the thing that you need to get, and they become a part of your community. They become a part of your why. Mm. So when I identified that mentorship, I always felt like I needed to do it alone. I felt like people didn't show up for me. I felt like folks will abandon me and fumble me. Mm. And sometimes I still have that feeling to this day. I can come to you, and because I'm strong and because this is who I am, my aura, my demeanor, that strength, that boldness, sometimes people forget I'm human. And just because it's heavy don't mean I want to carry it alone every time. Mm-hmm. Just because I can do it don't mean I don't need help. And so people tend to show up for people who shows this perception of always in dire need. Mm-hmm. We show up for the needy people because they look needy. It's aware, like it's clear that they need, but we oftentimes don't show up for the ones that are not often there, where their demeanor is a needy demeanor. So that I was that person. Wow. And so people would say, well, you just need to ask for help. I said, well, I do. And asking for help looks different for me.
Okay.
Right? Because I may not come in there and say I'm starving, but I may show up and be like, what y'all got food? We eating? What they gonna have there? or just a listening ear for somebody to catch it. So going back to your question of mentorship, I needed, before I can even be open to a mentorship, I needed reliability. I needed somebody that I can rely on, that's going to show up for me, that's going to be present for me. Yeah. And I think in my ability to then develop this level of trust, I gained a mentor. Right? Because I didn't know, and that's what we try to tell people. I don't know. I can't want what I didn't have. I can't explain to you what that looks like for me when I don't know what they are, and I don't know what that looks like to even receive. Yeah. That's where the yielding came from. Then just a part of my journey, I'm gonna share with you just what I'm talking about. Like I expressed that. So let me give you an example. I went to the community college, never thinking about getting a degree. I wanted to go into DCFS, right? I ended up becoming homeless, right? Due to cancer. And my job indicated that they was gonna allow me to get my job back. They didn't, so I ended up having to fight the unemployment that they did give me, because they were saying that they didn't know I was sick, right? Yeah. I ended up in DeKalb because they provided me a place to stay. I went to the community college thinking that I'm gonna go and do the same thing, same passion, same career. I wanted a multi-purpose center. That's what I wanted. I wanted a multi-purpose center. And my prayer was like, oh, Lord, please give me the things that I need so that I was able to keep it up and going until I was able to hire people. Just fast forward. When I was at the community college, I was telling that lady, she was like, well, you should get a bachelor's degree. And I was telling that counselor, look, ma'am, I don't even want an associate's degree. I'm trying to provide for my house. I'm trying to eat, but they don't get it. And it was from that particular point, the person was like, you're going to go? So she's like, well, if you close. So we went through that whole thing. She's like, you should get a master. What are you passionate about? You're amazing. So they saw all this stuff, but they missed the key points. I'm trying to get my basic necessities. I didn't know that at the point. Yeah. So I'm at that particular point, and they was like, okay. She's like, okay, how about this? If you close to getting your associates, you got to promise to get your bachelor's. And I'm like, okay, because I ain't worked on it. Of course, this is a walk in the park. But she was a counselor that did her job. So I went to get my bachelor's because I was close. I graduated. Now I'm like, okay, I got to do this as a promise. And I'm giving you a pattern of what I mean, where it's the situations, the critical transition points that they kind of brought those people or those mentors or people that I needed. I ran into the table, the admissions table. I had my stuff. I mapped it out. I said, here, this is what I got to do. I got to get a bachelor's degree. I laid my stuff out, and the admission counselor said, who did this for you? I'm like, I did it for myself because I had made a promise to this advisor that if I was close to graduate, I was going to do my bachelor's. She was like, oh, you did an amazing good job. You did better than some of the transfer counselors there. They worked in admissions. She was actually the director. She said, you come to NIU, I'll give you a job. Dang. You going to give me a job? What? I'm coming there. This was the thing. To be a missions counselor, you needed a bachelor's. So now I went and did the work to transition to Northern because of a promise. I went to Northern, for a job, but I needed a bachelor's degree, which that was motivation for me to finish.
Yep.
And then the lady was like, you come in here? I said, look, ma'am, I can't get these people to understand what I'm saying. She said, what's happening? I'm telling them my needs and they just overlooking it. She said, you tell them moving forward that your Maslow's hierarchy of needs not met. And that will stop them in that track, that even if they don't hear your voice, and you felt like that, you felt forward. Even if they don't hear your voice, they know what Maslow's hierarchy of need is, or they can go look it up.
Yes.
Right? And that right there was like, empowered me. So every time somebody didn't listen to my need, I was like, my Maslow's hierarchy needs not met. I kept saying it. It was like a broken record. So back to the mentorship, once that lady told me, she became someone I looked up to. She became someone I trusted. She became somebody I felt like paused to understand me. She became somebody that I can glean from, or I can see, okay, she was good. Let me go see what's happening over there. And her name was Miss Curry, and she was at the Center for Black Studies. Nice. So that is how you, as a first generation student, when you don't know how to ask for help, you have to be able to trust somebody for them to mentor you. Yes. You have to be yielded in your mind in order for the mentor to be able to give you what you need for your next. So that's how I developed the process of mentorship, of what that was. And then somebody mentioned the word mentorship. I looked it up and it was like, oh, this person serves as my mentor. To me, it was like, oh, I trust them.
Yeah.
If I had an issue, I would go to them because I knew that they had my best interest at heart.
I love it.
And then also, for that question, I focused on developing a process of a self-awareness that helped me to identify where I was in life and what I needed. I practiced that because I raised kids growing up at a young age. I was raising my siblings. So what I needed was never something in the forefront, or how I feel was never something in the forefront. So I had to practice a self-awareness that helped me then be able to identify. And I didn't even have senses, I had words. I started with what I didn't like. I don't like that. I don't like that you speak to me. I don't like to be spoken to like that.
Yeah.
I don't like to be treated like that. I don't like, you get what I mean? I started with that.
Yes. Yeah.
And then from there, I went to this concept of, as I grew, okay, it ain't the mentorship that I need only. I needed guidance. And then now as a professional, I'm like, okay, I had plenty of mentorship. The guidance is always going to be there, but I need sponsorship. I need people to speak on what I've done. Speak on me. Bring my name up in spaces that I'm not present in.
Yeah.
Be my community, be my reliability. So it shifted for me. And that's when I became what I call a professional GPS.
Okay.
that partners with my superpower. And the GPS is actually a framework that I created.
Okay. Is there like a particular like GPS anything it stands for, or just curious?
It's an acronym. So I'm a professional GPS, and it basically what I do this model of guidance for process and strategies for success.
Okay. I love it.
And my goal is that I help people put destinations, because with a GPS system, when you deposit your destination, even when you miss your stop, even when you stop off to get a snack, even when you take a break, even when you turn off the engine, no matter what you do, it's going to keep rerouting you to that destination.
I love it. Good stuff. Wow, that was very powerful. Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Yeah. I mean, and Miss Curry, wow, like amazing woman. I bet she helped you, and you turn out really well. So I can imagine how amazing she is. And
she's amazing. She was in the Center for Black Studies. Okay. Then it was Dr. Coates. Then when I became a professional, I didn't know how to navigate the professional arena. I didn't know what that looked like. It was like professionals. When I was in Trio taught me how to navigate spaces. We went to Trio, I always say, this is the place you change outfits multiple times. Because you go in and you have your business casual, then you have your outfit for your banquet, and then you got change after the banquet and put on your jeans for the dance, your sessions. And so they taught you how to go into rooms. A lot of times we go and we see people that are successful and we walk up to them because we want that moment. but they're working, they're in a space. So we had different downtime and spaces where it's okay, and here they're going to have these type of conversations. So they helped me navigate. They helped me as a young professional understand what it looked like in all these multiple arenas. And they were the one that was like, they identify things on you. They do this thing, what I call being voluntold. They volunteer you to do things. Like, you're going to be on this. You'll be good at da-da-da-da-da-da. And so what they did was my identity development was me being yielded to hearing what people was saying about me and what they saw in me. And I would write that down.
Nice.
Because sometimes when you grow up around negativity, your mindset, you are stuck. Your fixed mindset comes from people identification of what they said you was, and it perpetuates over and over again. And then it's perpetuated by the way people treat you. So it's perpetuated. So that's the thing you fight up against, which is not your true potential. It's the thing that you have to push back against. And it takes a lot of showing up, and it hurts. Growth hurts.
Yeah, transformation hurts. Absolutely.
It does. It hurts.
Yeah.
It hurts bad too.
Yeah.
It's like falling and getting a scrape that burns. Okay.
Yes. And to this day, shoot, I'm still doing the work and it still hurts. But hey, in order for us to get to the next level, to overcome these challenges, you got to do that work. But we
always evolving.
Absolutely. Always evolving. I agree 100%.
And we got to remind our students of that. Because see, to them, we have arrived.
Yeah.
So we always got to remind them that, no, it's levels to it.
Yes. There's a process. And I love that. Absolutely. We got to teach them the process. So the final question I have for you is, why is it important to stay hungry and humble at the same time when pursuing your goals?
For me, I would say this. I know the word is hungry and humble, but I'm thinking open and determined. Because your openness keeps you hungry. And your determination keep you humble.
Yes. I love that.
And it's important to have that hunger, because when you're hungry, right? So when you're hungry, right? When you don't eat, hunger is consistent. So if you stay hungry, then it'll keep you consistent. And it will remind you when you're not being fed.
Love it. Good stuff.
It will remind you when you're not being fed. And in the moments where you're hungry or remaining hungry, it's going to be your driving force to remind you that you ain't being fed. So that way, when you don't go down paths and processes and places that doesn't feed you.
Yeah.
You don't consume things that don't go with who and what you are attempting to become.
Absolutely.
And you're not setting goals that's unrealistic without developing appropriate stepping stones that serve as pathways to success. Your hunger is going to remind you of your why. Your hunger is going to remind you of how much you've overcome. Your hunger is going to keep you from being complacent.
Yes.
Your hunger is going to keep you moving. And most importantly, your hunger is going to be the very thing that remind you of the last thing you ate before. Or I haven't ate since then. I haven't had somebody to pour in me since this particular time. Or I got all these people around me that's supposed to serve as these things, but I'm not getting this. I still feel unfulfilled. Your hunger is the thing that helps you even identity development. I tell students, your identity is wrapped in your social and cultural capital. It's the things that you bring with you in education, in all that you do, your family, your culture, your generational wealths, good and bad or indifferent.
Yep.
How you navigated life, how your family navigated life, because it's generations, how they navigate, they teach you those things. Matter of fact, you learn from observation whether they say it or not. You're gonna say, I remember my brother doing this. My mother came from this particular place. We were came from another country. One of my students was like, their parent walked across the water with them in their hand. I was like, that's determination. Like, because it's that your social and cultural capital is your identity, and it's going to be the thing that feeds your hunger. You have to know what it is, because a lot of times as first generation students, we get on the college campus and the first thing we say is, when they come from low socioeconomics, but this deficient language, but they need to eat, and they come from poverty, and they this. Well, we all need to eat. We all come from one check away from not being well. I mean, like, we all got things, but it's not identifiers.
Yes. I love it.
So your social and cultural capital keep you from saying, well, my mama didn't know what to tell me, and my daddy didn't know what to, and this person didn't know what to, and I'm just alone. No, she dropped you off here. Someone carried you here.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody pushed you here. Even if they couldn't tell you how to eat it, they put it before you so that you could have more to eat than they did.
Mm-hmm.
How am I going to help you navigate college when I barely finished 8th grade? But I do understand that education is important, and I can push you to that being your goal. I don't have to have a degree in order to be pushed by my family and my friends to do something bigger than themselves.
Yeah, I love it.
Helping them come out of deficient.
Mm-hmm.
Stop eating from deficient and eating from a place of liberation, and eating from an asset base, from a deficient to an asset based approach.
Mm-hmm. I love it. Good stuff. Wow, that was very powerful. So I just want to say thank you to Dr. Shatoya Black again for being on the show. This was extremely amazing and extremely insightful. And I also want to say thank you for everybody that's been watching. I know that you got a lot of golden nuggets today, a lot of wisdom. I'm definitely going to go through the episode again and take some notes for sure. So I just want to say thank you again. And also thank you for watching the Blueprint on How to Turn Goals into Achievement podcast. We will be seeing you on the next episode. Have a wonderful day. Peace.